What happens when you combine a short story from 1939 with a Nepo baby in the 2010s? The answer is a profoundly great film. Let me explain. I'm talking about the 2013 adaptation of James Thurber's most famous text, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, starring and directed by Ben Stiller. It's his fifth film as director out of his six total directed films, as of October 2023, and in my opinion, his best. So far he's directed Reality Bites, The Cable Guy, Zoolander, Tropic Thunder, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and Zoolander 2, which we don't talk about. You might also know Ben Stiller from such comedies as Madagascar, Anchorman, Dodgeball, A True Underdog Story, Night at the Museum, and of course, Family Guy, among many others. But did you know about his most adventurous film? It all started in 1939 when a little short story called The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was published in the New Yorker. It follows a man going about his daily chores, but who keeps being continually interrupted by wild and outlandish daydreams. Subsequently, 8 years later, in 1947, the story was adapted into a film starring Danny Kaye, Virginia Mayo, and Boris Karloff, produced by Samuel Goldwyn and directed by Norman Z. MacLeod. Time went by and the world grew to forget about the name Walter Mitty, until Samuel Goldwyn's son, Samuel Goldwyn Jr., revived the story after 2 decades in production purgatory, where many names for actor and director were thrown around. But fortunately, they reached a conclusion with Ben Stiller at the helm of the film. Then on December 25, 2013, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty was released to the world, a new version of the then 74-year-old tale. Now, 10 years after its release, I thought I'd reflect on its greatness as a moving piece of cinema. First of all, let's reminisce on Ben Stiller's past films. He's been a part of a whole assortment, starring in smaller films and more large-scale Hollywood films, such as a small role as Dainty in Steven Spielberg's Empire of the Sun. But when I say that The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is Ben Stiller's best film, I'll be comparing it to films he directs. I do enjoy the majority of Stiller's films, but the apex of his filmography is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. However, he wouldn't be able to have made this epic travel film as proficiently without having acted in and directed a range of films, mostly being comedies. This helped develop a rich experience in the film industry for him to draw upon. In doing so, he managed to balance comedy with sincerity in the long-awaited adaptation. Reality Bites was a good, but not great, drama/romance starring Winona Ryder, Ethan Hawke, Steve Zahn, Janine Garofalo, and the main man, Ben Stiller. It's a small, charming film with a pretty likeable cast and an interesting protagonist. It follows Lelena, a Generation X college graduate who's trying to navigate through life alongside her friends. They face the scary realities of life in 90s America through their careers, families, and romances. I'd never heard of it until I started looking at Ben Stiller, but was glad I found it. There are some hidden gems within this film, particularly in the moments when Lelena, played by Winona Ryder, is making a documentary about her friends. It really cuts to the emotional core of the film. However, the love triangle between Lelena, Troy, and Michael is quite lacking, as she doesn't have the best chemistry with either character. Next, The Cable Guy. The Cable Guy stars Jim Carrey, Matthew Broderick, Leslie Mann, and Jack Black. It follows a hard-working man who befriends a cable guy, which develops into an obsessive, then destructive friendship. Despite having some funny moments and some interesting things to say about friendship and television, this 1996 comedy is on the whole bad. It just doesn't click as a coherent film. Firstly, it's not very funny, and secondly, it sidelines its deeper segments on what toxic friendship is like and the parasitic relationship people have with television. Overall, this makes for an underdeveloped narrative and a feeling that it's trying too hard to be funny, which amounts to a half-baked film. The first pivotal film of Stiller's career that I'll be mentioning is Zoolander. Zoolander is arguably the film the actor is most synonymous with. It came out in 2001 at the beginning of his wave of 2000s comedies, and was received in a mixed manner by critics. Personally, I enjoy the majority of the comedy, but the jokes can be quite hit and miss. And on top of that, the storyline isn't the most captivating. Having said that, there are iconic scenes from the film that I and many others still remember, such as the Wake Me Up Before You Go scene, the merman scene, and the mining scene. Overall, I think it's a funny indictment of the fashion industry and helped grow Stiller's reputation and knowledge of comedy leading up to 2013. Tropic Thunder is similar in that it mocks the film industry and specifically Vietnam War films. It stars Ben Stiller, Jack Black and Robert Downey Jr. and follows a collection of actors starring in a Vietnam film that goes horrifically wrong and becomes real. It acts as an homage to Vietnam War films whilst mocking the process of filmmaking and method acting. Unfortunately, the film falls into the trap of Stiller's previous films, where the sheer quantity of jokes limits the amount of character development and drama available in the film, keeping it to short, quick moments. Yet, I'd argue there are standout performances in Robert Downey Jr.'s character and Tom Cruise's character, respectively. So what makes The Secret Life of Walter Mitty different? A couple things, really. The story, the cinematography, the characters, the music, the visuals, and the lasting impression it has on the audience. The story is refreshed by Stephen Conrad's screenplay, which was inspired by Thurber's story, and has a noticeably modern flavour. Despite being partly based around a man who has constant daydreams and a vivid imagination, the real-life parts of the film are very raw and human. Not exaggerative, not overdone, just enjoyably relatable. Walter Mitty is a negative assets manager for Life magazine when he loses the photo for the final front cover of the publication. So he goes on a mission to find the photo's creator, Sean O'Connell, played by Sean Penn, in an effort to keep his job as the magazine moves online. Along the way, he learns to find love, experience, and perspective. I think the story of Walter Mitty is particularly interesting in the modern landscape of contemporary businesses. It seems that we've suddenly moved from phone booths and huge mobile phones of the past to the smartphones we know of today. Devices that share more with an infinity pool than a rotary phone. This comes as technology progresses at an exceedingly quick rate before our very eyes, where companies once thought of as irreplaceable staples of the high street and society are replaced, forming clone towns, or worse, left abandoned, forming ghost towns. And no, I'm not talking about the 2008 Ricky Gervais film. Enter The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, a story of a man coping through times of hardship and struggle as Life magazine, which did once exist, closes down as it moves online. Despite not being radical or politically provocative, Walter's journey of self-discovery in times of uncertainty reaffirms a certain beauty in life that I think we fail to see at times. In a contemporary context, times of uncertainty have become commonplace as the memories of 2020 and the accompanying coronavirus outbreak are still fresh in public memory, therefore making the message of Walter Mitty all the more poignant in 2023. What I like about Ben Stiller is that he's not a one-trick pony. He'll keep coming back and trying something different, even if his career hangs by a thread like the sword of Damocles. Yes, he mostly directs comedies on some level, but he's also dabbled in drama, with Reality Bites. I feel he's reinvented his image considerably over the time we've known him, especially now he's directed the 2022 TV series Severance. The daydreams are well shot, integrating the modern technology of CGI effectively throughout. One of my personal favourites is the scene where Walter imagines he's a Latin American poet, who's also a rock climber, visiting Cheryl to flirt with her, before being disturbed by Ted Hendricks, his new boss for the transition. In this scene, and in general, the cinematography is beautiful and well crafted. It's a lovely blend between real vistas and CGI. Then, towards the second half of the film, Iceland was used as a filming location for Greenland, Iceland, Afghanistan, and the Himalayas scenes, which gives each a tangible look as opposed to all being filmed on a green screen. This is aided by the 2.39 to 1 aspect ratio and the fact the whole film was shot on film, thus giving it a super widescreen look, helping showcase the magnificence of the daydream and reality scenes. The shots seen throughout the film also help explore the themes that Walter tackles, themes such as love, conflict, passion, creativity, untapped potential, and I'd argue prolonged grief. Those are but some of the reasons why I think The Secret Life of Walter Mitty is Ben Stiller's best film, but if you disagree and want to drop your favourite Ben Stiller film in the comments, feel free. I'll catch you in the next video.